right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Tuesday Times Roundtable. Just want to take a quick moment during this introduction to remind you about one of the many benefits and features of what comes out of our office. And at the front, we have this pink card for accessing the New York Times online. You can go to accessnyt.com, you choose FIU as your school, log in with your FIU credentials, and there is unlimited access for the New York Times website for a year at a time. And if you're still here next year, you can just redo it next year, just because they want to make sure you're still around. But that's something you should definitely take advantage of. As you see from attending our roundtables, that the New York Times has many great articles on any topic you could possibly think of. Talking about one of the articles today, I have a very good friend and colleague who's actually from our Office of Global Learning Initiatives who puts on the Tuesday Times roundtables. This is one of our graduate assistants, Sherrie Beeson. Her passion for global learning and global citizenship brought her to FIU, where her doctoral studies in curriculum and instruction include a focus on international and intercultural education. She has her bachelor's in education from Illinois State University and a master's in school counseling from Dallas Baptist University. Being a part of our Office of Global Learning allowed Sherrie to gain valuable insights into how faculty at FIU make global learning come alive for undergraduate students, and to further her research into what it means to be a global citizen. And we've had many, many very interesting conversations and deep conversations about what those two words mean, which is I've enjoyed with Sherrie. She's currently conducting research on FIU's Collaborative Online International Learning, or COIL initiative, and she has long-term goals to support university-wide global learning initiatives, continue her research, and serve as a professor of perspective, social studies, and civic teachers. I'm pleased to welcome Sherrie Beeson.
Hey. Thank you, guys. I debated about standing in the back and running down like it was a game show. But I decided not to do that. It would be totally unprofessional of me. So if you haven't met Eric Feldman yet, I just want to give him a round of applause, because without him, this wouldn't be happening today and almost every Tuesday of the semester, of the year. So Eric, it's an honor to be your colleague and friend and to know you here at FIU. So thanks. You might be wondering what this topic is about. I've already been told that's kind of broad, your title there. I was like, well, hey, that's all right. So you might ask, what's it about? And so I'm just going to go ahead and give you the tell. This isn't a card game. I don't think you should have to figure it out, right? So you can beat me or anything. I'm just going to be really frank. I am a Twitter newbie, right? Some of you have been on Twitter for years, and I am not going to claim that, not now, and well, maybe in a few years, but definitely not now, right? I was challenged to get on Twitter and find out what they're saying about social studies through a class I took this summer. And as I'm, becoming familiar with this platform, I thought, I think it's got some potential, you guys. Just me and 282 million other people, right? That's funny. But I think Twitter could be a platform for change. And so that's why I'm here talking to you today. So quick show of hands, if you will. How many of you are on Twitter currently? On it? Okay. Maybe half, maybe less, and that's okay. No big deal. Again, this is just to propose that it might be a place you might get some, I almost said action. That would have been terrible. You might get some attention for things you're interested in furthering. So here we go, you guys. We're going to run through the next 5 slides really quickly, as if this is part of a Twitter feed. So in other words, you're following some people, and this is what's coming up as you're sitting here. And by the way, if a particular Twitter feed comes up while we're in here, and I promise some of our folks here today, if your phone's out, that's okay. Because if something comes up that is relevant, let's talk about it. Deal? All right, cool. So the next 5 slides, again, we're going to run through them pretty quickly, and you can either give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a shout out, or a boo, whatever you want to do that would kind of let me know, would you retweet this? Do you know anything about this? Next 5 slides, again, tweets, actual tweets. Here we go. So, would you retweet this? Yeah. Okay, gotta laugh. And I'm not trying to trap you guys, by the way. We are going to come back and talk about these. What about this? Yay, I'm hearing a lot of giggles. Oh, and somebody even covered his face. It's one of those, yep. Oh no, you can hardly see this. This is evil Kermie, right? Evil Kermie in the mirror saying, don't go to class. And do you know who tweeted this? Anybody recognize that one? You're like, I know, it's right there. And then this guy, who, by the way, over in Indonesia, I should read this to you. Well, I will in a minute. I'll tell you in a minute, because I promised we were going to go through them and then back up, right? So I can tell you about them. The reason you probably would not want to retweet this is because a DiGiorno Twitter bot picked up on the feed, hashtag why I stayed. It turns out that particular hashtag was created by Beverly Gooden, and it was to have a bigger conversation about what it means to be a victim of domestic abuse. So I found this tweet in an epic Twitter fail Google search. Why did they fail? The bot jumped into something because it was a robot. It wouldn't know. This is serious, y'all. This isn't, oh, you had pizza. Even though it sounds funny, DiGiorno had to apologize all over themselves for this. Can you imagine? Yeah. And by the way, that particular hashtag, I find this amazing. The day it was set up, it was used more than 46,000 times. Just that day. Right? I'm not even going beyond there. That's just amazing. So this one, obviously, you guessed it. I found this on another epic Twitter fail page. Lewis, you've now made history. So Divas, Kermie the Frog, Evil Kermit, that actually got retweeted 10,000 times. And likes, how many likes? Anybody want to guess? 12,000. Are you starting to see why I'm kind of getting, at least interested in Twitter? What could this mean? This is one of those you might want to know who you're talking about before you say something. Because she, Tammy Duckworth, is not only a senator for Illinois, she's a veteran, and she lost her legs fighting for our country. Totally inappropriate, right? And then this, what you may not know, and what I have since learned, is that 80% of tweeters don't even live right here in the United States. That's amazing. So if you've thought about becoming a global citizen, but you wouldn't have a voice for change, are you starting to see why I'm excited? So my epiphany was, seriously, if the President of the United States can tweet daily, almost, right, and get so many people following him and either behind him or worked up about what it is he's saying, what about you? What about me? I don't think we need this hashtag to make a difference. So that's really what got me more interested in what is this thing called Twitter. So the New York Times put out this article, Frank Bruni, and he talked about, well, I'm okay, but you, oh my gosh, pure evil, right? His point was this social media thing, it gives us anonymity, right? Like, yeah, if I tweet right now, you can see my face. I can show you my Twitter page, and then you'll know just how few followers I have. I may pull it up in a minute, right? But if I don't have to be accountable to you in person later, it's not like going home after school and mom or dad or grandma or grandpa is going to find out what happened back at school, right? If your mom and dad and grandma aren't on Twitter, they're not going to know what you said. And your friends are going to be like, yeah, she's right, retweet, like. So you have that, man, yeah, I know, right? I know. But the accountability means, or the lack of accountability means, there are things being posted that just don't need to be out there, right? So I only choose to follow you, right? If A, we're friends, or B, you're interested in the same things I'm interested in. On the other hand, I'm only followed by people who are interested in what I'm interested in, or their friends, or their family. Like, I'll be honest, like 3 of my followers right now are family, which I find kind of funny. But yeah, so that also means if I think it and you think it, that we're just feeding off each other, right? And you're just reinforcing my thoughts. We may not be challenging each other at all. And that's another thing Frank Bruni says. He says this environment makes it so that we may not even be talking intelligently. We may just be bringing people down. So, surrender of restraint. Just meaning that I'm going to go ahead and post it without even really thinking it through. And that was another thing that really bothered me about Twitter. It's like, okay, this sounds interesting. I think I agree with this person. But what if I retweet that and later I find out they're a mass murderer in jail? Obviously, a mass murderer in jail, where they're not going to have access to Twitter, I would hope. But I don't want to retweet something posted by someone that I don't really agree with in the long run, do I? I think that's a danger. So it has been something, again, on my mind where I kind of try and slow it down. I'm like, oh, do I really want to retweet that? What does that person really think in a broader sense? By the way, the whole divisions between us thing, as a global citizen, I think I find that the most threatening thing about all social media. And I don't know if you know this, but YouTube has like, well, millions obviously get on there, but it said 3.2 billion hours of YouTube are watched a month. I know. I had to reread it. I didn't believe it. So if I'm trying to get us to dislike each other, this social media thing is a really quick way to make it happen. And magnify it very quickly. Bots, they're everywhere. Oh my gosh, how do you know? Like, how do you know? How would you know DiGiorno was a bot? Well, that one's pretty easy, right? Unless they're paying someone to sit there 24/7 to tweet, then it's probably posted by a bot, right? But my question is, how do you know? Like, it could be anyone, or it could be a bot. And they could be making me dislike your stance on something when that isn't necessarily what you think, right? But they're going to push that one idea until I believe it. Did you know if you hear it enough times, it doesn't even have to be true? That was another part of my research. It doesn't have to be true. If I just hear it enough times, something in my brain starts going, yeah. And I don't like that part of my brain. And I wish somebody would take that part out, because I don't like that. It feels like manipulation. It is, in case you were wondering. It absolutely is. So I want to know, you have got to talk to me. You've been so quiet today. How do you decide, is it a Twitter bot or is it not? Anybody? And I promise I'm not trying to trick you. If you know something I don't know, this is important information for all of us, right? How do you decide? I'm ready, go.
Well, other than the fact, does it act real? You want to also check, does the name have some stupid stuff in it? Like, does it say blah, 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 official, or like, have a lot of underscores in it? Something weird, you know? Something that makes it seem like maybe a human wouldn't choose that name for themselves.
Yeah, and that is exactly what this article talks about. And it's a very short one. If you just want to know a few little pointers on bot or not, it's a very quick read. And one of the things he said was check out their profile. You don't have to believe it just because it's there. Go check them out. If it's a bot, make sure. By the way, a bot followed me. No, I did figure that out after reading this. I was like, that's a bot, you're gone. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So what I'm hearing you say without saying is we don't always know, do we? And so what we do know is there are people out there tweeting about important things, and then there are machines out there pushing ideas at you, and they're pushing them at our journalists. I find that amazing too. And so true story, not going to name names, but a journalist was here on campus, maybe even speaking in this very room, not naming names. During his presentation, he checked his Twitter feed, y'all. I am not kidding you. Checked his Twitter feed. Hang on. I got to check this. Give me a minute. Why? Why would he do that? Any ideas? Throw it out there.
To, stay up to date with what's going on.
And yeah, isn't that how you feel with Twitter? It's your way of staying up to date. Well, journalists are doing this too. And man, if it's being tweeted 1,000 times, this may be important. I may need to get back to the office and start researching this and get more information out there with my name on it. And it could totally be being pushed by bots. I'm just saying. So just because it's there, did you know that church leaders are encouraging each other to get on Twitter? Not a bad thing. But again, if you're holding back for whatever reason, I think you need to know this. Another way to get information out there. What are you thinking? Well, I don't know. What are you thinking? Now we're both thinking it. Aha. You could get on Twitter and just follow these amazing people, right? And you don't have to raise your hand on this one. If you're already following some of these people, that's okay. It's not a problem. These are just like, 8 of the top 100? So if you're curious, that's a search you can do. Get out there, find out who's on Twitter being followed the most. My daughter is totally guilty of this. I haven't talked to her about it yet, but we're going to have that conversation. I'm going to be like, seriously, honey? But there you go. Oh, and she's an adult. I saw one person looked at me and said, what, your daughter? And I'm like, no, she's an adult, so she can make those decisions. So if you're interested, there are tips on how you can become Twitter perfect. They're out there. And so I'm kind of studying these myself, right? How do you do this? Remember the images we had up here earlier? Apparently, that is the wave of the future. If you want to make a difference, you find an image that somebody's going to connect with. It may be an emotional connection. It may be just that, aha, and then you put a little bit of words with it. But that's the wave of the future. If you want to get attention on Twitter or social media, here's how you do it. Now, one of the fun things that I noticed was we can even crowdsource it. Right? In other words, if I'm not being creative today, I could ask my followers, so you want to make a, something we can put out there? Something we can all be talking about? Just an idea. And then you just add the words back in. But there are some warnings. Twitter is addictive. You'll know that I'm way more into this than what I might be willing to admit, because we were watching TV, my husband and I, the other night, and he goes, could you just put your phone down? Sorry. Right? And it hadn't even occurred to me that it had become that important. What is it? What's going on? But it had. So just keep in mind, it's a dangerous weapon. But actually, having said that, is it? And if so, why? So now I'm hoping to pull some thoughts out of you. Twitter, is it dangerous? Is this a weapon? Could it be? If so, how?
It could be, depending on who you follow, the person following them.
Okay.
Let's say someone extreme says something, or tweets something about, let's say, political leader, like they see in the article, and they say, you know, all Democrats are responsible for this. We need to unite and take care of them, or something like that. If they have enough followers, and you have a fanatic or an extremist, they could take action and possibly do harm.
Yeah. And I don't know how many of you are already wondering. I mean, like our huge question since Sunday night has been, what in the world, right? What in the world could cause somebody to do this? It certainly does. It makes you wonder. Was he on Twitter? I'm going to be watching to find out. Was he on Facebook? Was he on Instagram? Where was he that somehow these thoughts are validated? I'm assuming he's somewhere, either virtually or in person. I'm interested to find out. So yeah, I think it could definitely become a weapon. What about a platform for putting out what you want others to be aware of? So do you feel like, out of all the social media choices we have today, and there's at least 6, right? I'm sure there's more than 6. But out of those different choices, why would this one be appealing to you and your followers? And if it is, how are you thinking you might use it? Are you telling me I'm the only one? Oh, yay. Someone over here has a thought about it? Oh, yay, 2 people already. Run, 2, go.
So what you say will always be, like, you have to take accountability for it. It's not the same as if you speak your mind openly to one person versus having it permanently in the internet. But the good thing about using this platform is you can retweet important issues. You can share news. Like the other day I shared a post about how in Saudi Arabia women can now drive.
Yes. I had to text my friend over that one.
So for those instances, it's a good platform.
Okay. And should we be handing the mic out? Can y'all hear over there what she said? Okay, awesome. I agree. In that sense, if we are carefully choosing what it is we're going to retweet, then it can absolutely be meaningful. And when I texted my friend, I was like, man, when you go back home, you're going to get to drive. And she was like, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. She's been learning how to drive while she's here in the States, and she's getting her doctorate. So very exciting. Very, very exciting. Okay.
So I was going to address the question that she just went over to.
Mm-hmm.
We know throughout history that it just takes one person's powerful voice to convince the masses. So with social media, whether it be Twitter or whatever other one, you can definitely convince a lot of people that won't look into research, because when you find things on social media, that's just to trigger that light bulb in your head. Oh, let me look into this and see what else is into it, not to take it for fact for what it is, because you do get fake news, not to quote him, but you can actually come across something that is fake or false, or maybe not be the true story.
Mm-hmm.
So, instead of taking it for face value, go look into it and kind of search. And I feel like that's very dangerous. And part of it being an addictive, social media in total being addictive, a lot of people go off their knowledge with what they see on social media instead of further investigating. And I think that could be very dangerous.
Which is another reason I'm here today, because when I tell you I came to FIU because of its focus on global citizenship, that's 100% true. I was almost done with my coursework at another university, like almost finished, y'all, with my doctorate. And my question was going to be about global citizenship. And I wasn't finding support there for completing that research. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't know if y'all figured this out yet, but I'm not young anymore. And so I was like, I'm too old for you to tell me no, at least about my research. So I investigated. I went online and I investigated. And I'm like, there is a place. Actually, there are a few places. Some of them are way too expensive. And so I didn't look there. But I did come here, and thankfully, we are here, a lot of us, and you especially in this room, because we're interested in making a global difference. But in order to do that, she's right. You can't just take it for granted. Oh, well, somebody in the New York Times said this, then that must make it true. How many of you, and I'm a I'm a Tom Petty fan, right? I was saddened yesterday, and the first word that came out was what? He's already gone. That wasn't exactly true. Later, yes. But so even the major sources of news, and you're like, man, oh my goodness, this is true. This is happening right now. And they don't always get it right. And did you just wonder if somebody watched one too many or read one too many tweets before they actually put it out there? Yeah, I did too. So one of the things Frank Bruni says is far too often, yeah, the temptation is go ahead and retweet it. Believe it, retweet it, it's out there, without having a further intelligent conversation about it. One of the things I have challenged myself to do is not react, right? Because that's the easy thing. Man, that makes me so mad. I'm just going to and there's not a dislike yet, right? How many of you are just waiting for that dislike? I want to thumbs down that one. Your only option is either to like it, or in not liking it, you still reference it. And so you may send some people back to that thought. And so then you've got to come up with your own original post in response. That is challenging. And that is one of the reasons I haven't put that much out there yet. It's because I'm like, well, what do I want to say exactly, and how am I going to word that, and who's going to follow it? And by the way, anybody know what this means? So I learned this little sign this summer. I didn't know it before. But the way you get people to follow, for those of you who aren't into this yet, is you hashtag the key word behind it or words. So today, before I came in here, I was like, okay, so what is this? I like the word progress, right? We're all going to move forward, progress. What does hashtag progress have out there? Well, there were some pictures in front of a mirror of somebody making progress on those abs, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's one form of progress. I'm not going to disagree with that. And then there were some other more serious posts, or tweets rather, that followed that hashtag. But it ends up, if you can use those hashtags wisely, and people are just searching for that key word, right? Then you will get people who are interested in what you're interested in and possibly following you soon. And if somebody had explained it that simply to me, I'd probably been doing some of that already. Like I did do an @ with the guy's name behind it, because I totally agreed with why he was going down on one knee during and I know we could get into a big debate on that. There's a debate on Twitter about that. Progress, matter of fact, on that page, if you're interested, anybody like, it's not Lionel Richie, I'm not going to come up with the right name. Stevie Wonder. Any Stevie Wonder fans? Right? He went down not on one knee, but on two, and this is at hashtag progress, and he said, I believe in the United States. And he said more than that. But you got to know your hashtags, right? And that moved me. And that was one of those, it was a video. So one of those image ideas could be that video, and you're going to hashtag it, and people are going to follow you. Yes?
I was curious because a lot of people, not a lot of people raise their hand when you asked if you were using Twitter. So I was curious as to why people stay away from Twitter and if there is something other than Twitter that they use to
Get the ideas out there.
to get their ideas.
I love that
out or to
question.
find out.
All right, we're going to give it to you guys. Why are you avoiding Twitter? If you are, and if you're willing to share, we would love to know. Oh, hang on. I've got 2 people that have already spoken, and one of my tricks is to call on somebody else first and then come back to y'all. Y'all cool with that? Okay. All right. Take it away.
So I joined Twitter in 2007 when it was still less than a year old, and then I quit Twitter 3 years ago.
Okay.
So the reason that I quit after being an early adopter was because of the noise and because of the instantaneousness with which people were publishing without checking, and the fact that Twitter started being treated as a professional network instead of a social network.
Ah.
So what started as a way for me to post the random things I was thinking about, see what my friends were thinking about, was now being filtered with all these political statements and things like that, and that's not what I wanted Twitter to be for. So I left. The second reason that I left is when they changed their algorithm so that Twitter was no longer updated by the most recent news, but by Twitter decided what you should see first. And when all the social media started changing those things, I backed off of them. Because one of the things I liked about Twitter was seeing things as they were being published. And so when Twitter started filtering for me, I was not interested in it.
Ooh, I like that criticism. And I will say it is frustrating when you go on there and you're like, wait a minute, this was like a couple of days ago. Why is this here? When you're expecting the most recent, within the last hour at least, right? Good point. And she was just into it to be with friends, which I can get that. I get that. And that is what I particularly use Facebook for. But I've noticed that depending on what message you want to get out there, you end up losing friends. And so I was just, I had to kind of go, well, I'm not going to put a lot of faith on that because they're not going to change my mind. And if they're not going to listen, then I'm not going to spend a lot of time. So yeah, but I get that, wanting to stay connected with friends. Somebody else, somebody who's not talked, possibly, on the back row. On the middle row. Oh, awesome, yes.
Actually, I haven't joined Twitter for the opposite reason.
Huh.
I don't like that it's too social. I would like to get views about, I guess, more political and more relevant things that I haven't been able to hear about, and because I'm not constantly researching the news, things like that, so I would want people to tell me that stuff. And I use Facebook for the more social stuff.
Okay. And so what I would say, if you're thinking about it in that way, depending on who you follow, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can get recent news updates that are those snippets where you can decide, do I want to read more or not, depending on who you follow. So you can follow U.S. News, you can follow New York Times, you can follow CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, you name the news source, they now are on Twitter. If that's how you want to use it, and that is, yeah, I agree with you. That's one of the ways I'm using it, is just to kind of, because if you're a student, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong again, do you really have time to watch either the nightly news or News at 5 or whatever it is my folks are still turning on every night, right? I love my folks, but I don't have time for that. Yes?
So I see how Twitter started as a social platform, which I don't use Twitter anymore, but I did used to use Twitter, and it would be like in high school, everybody would talk about like stuff that were happening or like events, and it was just more like everyone instantaneously like their thoughts. But now I feel like it's just a big source of like misinformation, I guess, because now everyone does want to put their political input, and they're putting it instantaneously without thought. So I don't use it anymore, and I didn't like follow like big sources like U.S. Times or stuff like that. I just have like my friends, people I know, and that's it. I have a private account. I don't want it.
So not just anybody's going to see it anyway. Interesting. So again, you may not want to leave and make this your platform to have a voice, But I just want to, like, I'm just going to like poke you just a little. Just think about it. Because you could set up another account, which is why the bots get in there in the first place, is because how many accounts can you set up? I'm pretty sure it's unlimited. If you can make all of them look different enough, it's pretty unlimited. How are we on time, Eric?
25 minutes.
Awesome. Wow. I talk way too fast, y'all. Sorry. There were at least 2 more hands up where we didn't, I think, get an answer. Why are you on Twitter or not? And by the way, are there any current Twitter feeds out there that we need to hear from? Anything happening?
That I don't think so.
Okay.
Nothing relevant.
Nothing relevant. All right. Talk to me.
I would like to add parallel to what you said. That when I was in high school, I remember my psychology teacher. He said something about Twitter, and it was that the thing was it was so negative. It was like such a negative environment, and I remember you said that when you see something over and over and over, then it kind of becomes true.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be careful with the environment we create around us, because if our environment is negative, we eventually become into a negative person. So it's also like sort of like trying to safeguard your own mental health.
I like that thought. So what I hear you saying is what one of the quotes said. I can't remember if it was up here or not. If words can be used to inspire, they can also be used to incite. If words can be used to lift you up, they can also be used to hammer you down, right? So I'm going to go here and then back to you. Ready?
Yeah, I was just gonna comment that when everybody started to get their new Twitter accounts back in the day, I was one of the minority from my group of friends that never did it, because I always found it like it lacked so much. Like, it was just words. It was not like Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat that it has like your image and it's more visual. It was just black and white, and everybody was just a bunch of adults talking about things, so I was just never really attracted to it. And even nowadays, there has been a changing trend on how Twitter is being utilized. So, yeah, just not my cup of tea.
Gotcha. Well, the good news is there are more images, right? And if you go to someone's profile and their image isn't there, this is some advice that I was given. It's like, Sherrie, you don't have your picture up. I'm like, I know, I hate pictures of me. Now, if you don't get a picture up, nobody's going to trust you. Oh, okay, gotcha. So you can go see me out there now, and it's not particularly my favorite picture in the world, but you can trust me. I am a person. I am not a bot, right? So, negative environment, or can we use it to make a difference?
I think you can.
Talk to me.
I think you can. There are many nonprofit organizations that promote positivity and things like that. You could. It's in my opinion, I just feel like it's depends on who you follow, honestly. Because if you don't want to see negativity on your social media, I mean, eventually you're gonna see it. But if you don't want to see it, just unfollow people who promote negativity, and just follow people that are more positive. And to kind of like bandwagon on her thing about, the only thing that I can't stand about Twitter is the 140 character limit.
But we just got upped.
I know, but like, it's not
Twice that many, 280.
It's not that much. It's annoying.
Well, and one thing that I read that I thought was neat, especially those of you who are using it to connect with your friends and kind of always stay in connection with them, it was this 3-word tweet challenge.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard about this, right? So what this particular group of, and I think they were like college professors, what they found was in 3 words, they could reach out to each other and keep in touch, and they would know enough about what was going on in each other's lives to be there for each other, and it became a really meaningful thing. So I can totally see why you would use it only for your friends and none of the negativity, right? I get that. I just believe that in my heart of hearts, you guys are here for a reason. And I don't believe it's just for global medallion points. I really don't. Even though I totally laud those, and I'm very proud of anyone who's pursuing the global medallion. I wish I could have worn one. That's amazing. Earned one and then worn it. What I believe is if people aren't hearing your positivity, then they're missing out. And they start thinking, we're all the same. People today. You know, back in the day. There are people my age saying this, y'all. Come on. We just know more about it now. It's more public now. I'm not convinced that there was this awesome, better time back in the day. No. Although there were more connections between people. I'm going to keep pushing just a little. There was a hand right here and there, and then you had something you wanted to say, right? Okay, here we go.
Well, I agree that yes, there's a lot of negativity that can be found in Twitter and other social media accounts. However, you can filter that. You can avoid the tweets that you don't want to see. That's a new feature that they didn't have when they first started. And also, when you look at the news, especially after what happened in Las Vegas, you see a lot of negativity on the news. People want to focus on the shooter, what happened. But on Twitter, it was all the positivity, what people did to rescue other people, people in pickup trucks, getting people who were injured to the hospital. You see more of that than what they cover on the news. So Twitter is valuable in that we have control over what people get to see us do. It's not all negative.
Go. I like that. It's not all negative. Did you know, if I can convince you that it is all negative, that life is horrible, that, oh my gosh, you have to go home and turn on the news right now and like close the shutters on your windows and like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can go to school tomorrow. If they can scare you enough, they will keep you quiet. And I don't like that. I think you have something to say that needs to be heard. Maybe it's not on Twitter. Maybe it's not on Facebook. Maybe it is in those personal one-on-one connections. But do not let fear silence your voice. It's why we're here. I'm convinced of that. Yes.
So you were asking earlier about Twitter, no Twitter. Personally, I don't own a TV. I just got rid of it, and I just don't really watch TV. Like, and at my parents' house, what they use the TV for is like a monitor.
Uh-huh.
Like a second monitor, pretty much.
Cool, I wouldn't need my glasses if I did that right.
Yeah.
I can blow that up.
I'm totally addicted to social media, but I'm personally more addicted to Instagram because I like the pictures and stuff like that. And for Twitter, you don't have the same kinds of guidelines that you do with Facebook and Instagram. So, like, for example, maybe this is probably not the right time to mention this, but like prostitution is online now too. And so Twitter, like, you don't have the same types of barriers. So there's people tweeting about prices and things like that, So I'm not so much on Twitter, but Instagram has a button where you can kind of just post on everything. So I just click the button and I'm posting my Instagram pictures onto Twitter, even though I'm not like looking at it anymore. So people who follow me still know what I'm up to because they have links to my pictures there, or like I don't know, like I try to sign up for contests, stuff like that. And there's like all these ads on Twitter, so that's pretty much what I go to Twitter for. If I need a recommendation for something, or if I want to try to do a contest, or tell other people what I'm doing in Instagram. But you were talking again about like I think it was you said that there was like friends that just drop off about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends mentioned that to me, that I'm like posting all of these political messages
Right.
that don't seem to be particularly nice towards certain types of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so since he's one of those types of people, he's kind of asking like, you know, how I feel about it. But that's good because it gets him to start a dialogue with me as his friend. Like, do you really feel negatively towards people like me? And you know, I can have a moment to kind of explain myself, you
Mhm.
know. So it's a good thing when people that are around you get to understand, you know, okay, this is my friend. They have these ideas. Yes, they're different from me, and you know, I'm curious. We could talk about it. Otherwise, all of these ideas stay within, or you know, you just don't feel as confident to talk about it because you're not sure
Mhm.
how somebody else is going to feel if you bring it up. How am I going to be able to talk about race with one person if like this image I have of them is one way, but the way they are on social media makes it seem like they're more open towards like the dialogue, for example. You know, this is a way that you could, you know, get to understand other people that you maybe wouldn't necessarily know. So that's really important to global awareness.
Mhm.
thing. Yeah.
So, and also that intercultural communication is kind of what I'm hearing you talk about there, is that I have this sense that someone feels this way, maybe they could consider what I think. Now that he knows I feel this way, we're going to have a conversation that would not have happened otherwise. That very probably needs to happen.
Exactly. He was talking to me about how I feel about white people, and like he's saying, I'm white and I'm, you know, like relatively well taken care of. Do you hate me? And I had to explain, like that's not what I meant. You know? So,
Yeah.
the posts I put are like political posts about, you know, the agenda of our government, not about white people per se.
Right.
But he is like concerned, so he actually reached out and asked.
Which is really what you wanted to have happen.
He probably would have never known the resentment I felt for the government's, you know, behavior or whatever.
Mhm.
And he thinks, oh, it's about me. So he has a chance to like talk to me about it directly.
Yep.
Versus maybe none of that would ever came out.
I like it. One of the tips, I don't know if it's up here yet, or maybe it was in the previous slide. One of the tips is if somebody like that follows you, obviously y'all are friends, so you're going to talk, you know, later. But if you start getting that response that's possible, if you will retweet that person, or not retweet them, reply to that person and use their first name, it's a thing, right? You're like, hey, I noticed you retweeted me. Thank you, so-and-so. And I see in your profile that you're also interested in this. That's awesome. Or something like that. Just
Yeah, you can make completely new friends.
that you wouldn't have otherwise known.
Precisely.
And that is a domino effect that I believe can actually
It
happen.
really broadens everybody's perspective on both sides.
There you go.
Or every side, whatever.
Yes?
The thing to touch on too about like if the communication isn't brought up that they make a comment. I post a lot on my Facebook, a lot of political things. Some people would say I'm controversial because I'm not going to sit still. No, I'm gonna keep my mouth quiet, right?
Yeah.
And I don't get as many likes as if I post a picture with my family or give an update of how I'm doing at FIU, you know, living in Miami and stuff like that. But I believe that at the end of the day, those people are still following you, and you know, some unfollow some if you put something they disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
Some continue to follow you, but they may not make the comment, they may not like it, but they're seeing it. So you're planting those seeds, and you're giving them a chance to consider it. Maybe they will go and research it. They may not want to pull up a conversation because they might think, I don't want to get into a controversial debate, or I don't want any drama, or you know, like they were talking about, there's a lot of negativity and all that stuff, which I believe you can't post something that someone doesn't agree with and it necessarily has negativity in the back and forth. Like you can have an adult conversation, but I'm all about planting the seed. This is my thoughts. This is and new way of thinking. This is a progressive style. You may not agree with it, but you're still following me and you're reading this stuff. So obviously, there's something in your subconscious that is like attached and interested in it, and may actually agree with me in the end. You know.
There you go. So you're challenging me, actually, because I've sort of, I think I told y'all, I've kind of backed off of the Facebook thing, right? Because I'm like, well, I don't really want to, have no friends whenever if I move back to Texas, because I will have said so much that they'll be like, unfriend, unfriend, unfriend. But, maybe I do need to go ahead.
Don't be afraid of what you have to say, because like you said, that's you're afraid of the results, and you don't want fear to put us in a corner and keep us quiet. So fear shouldn't put you in a corner and keep you quiet from what you believe.
All right. She needs to check back with me a month from now, right? And say, hey, show me Facebook. There you go. Awesome. We still good, or are we getting close? Okay. What I don't want you to think that I came here to do today is to force you, or to make you, force you to do something you don't want to do, or make you feel guilty for something you aren't doing. That's not it. What I want you to leave with, more than anything, is the idea that you do have a voice. But if you keep quiet, which is what she's saying, and people don't hear that, and their thinking isn't challenged, and they don't know that there are places like FIU where we do welcome everybody. This is a safe haven. And if we don't let people know that these places exist, they stop existing. Because the louder voice wants to be out there saying, we're different. I can't know you. I can't like you. I can't understand you. And I'm calling them out, basically, because I don't believe it, which is why I came here. As a global citizen, am I well-traveled? No. But I want to meet you on the bridge. And I had to explain this to somebody. She was like, what do you mean you're a global citizen? I said, well, you're saying you're over there, and unless I learn your language, and hers was Chinese, I'll never understand you unless I learn that language. And I know sign language, but I haven't learned another language. So I was like, so you're saying unless I know the words you use, the context, everything, all the cultural aspects of that language and that culture, I can't be a global citizen? I was like, no. I just want to meet you on the bridge. I just want to understand you as best I can and support you in those things where you would need someone to support you. And I would ask the same. Meet me on the bridge. This is a beautiful place. And the students I've talked to that have gone out there to meet others have told me, it's not as scary as they want us to think it is. Really? Tell me more about that. Yeah. Not that scary unless we allow the negativity to take over and keep us from making our voices heard. So now you guys know me. You can challenge me, you can follow me, you can even call BS on whatever it is I say. I'm okay with it.
How do we follow you on Twitter? What's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, right? I have it. Hang on. And I find it interesting that there are important things such as, if you don't put your face out there, then you're not going to be trusted. It's working, it's thinking. Ready? We'll come back to this in a sec. So there I am. I love this image. And I meant to write down the artist's name. He actually is here at FIU, or at least he's known by people in the art world here at FIU. That image was where is it, where they have all the huge murals here in Miami. Thank you. You can tell I've only been there once. So that image was up in Wynwood. It may still be, and I love it. And I'm going to tell you why. The image behind me. It's because when I see a woman in her burqa, that to me is not an indication that, oh, she doesn't want me to talk to her. It's an indication she wants me to look her in the eyes. And because I'm a woman, we can do that. And we have this little connection. And I feel like she's looking out and I'm trying to look in. And maybe she feels the same about me. I'm looking out, she's looking in. And we can connect. So I chose this image because it's meaningful to me. And I think we need to have our eyes open. Don't retweet just because it sounds good, because you don't know what. So that takes more time to get back and investigate. What is this person's actual view? This sounds good today, but what did they say yesterday? You know, just a little more information so I know, is this somebody that I want associated with my name if I retweet them or not? And I haven't been extremely controversial yet on Twitter. Because it's not necessarily controversy I want the conversation. If I don't understand you and you don't understand me, then where do we go from there? If we don't try and come to some understandings, where do we go from there? So there I am. Follow me if you will. I'll try and be responsible and appropriate and respond and say, hey, I'd love to follow you if you're up for that. That's cool with me. Let's stick together is really kind of the bottom line here, to make a difference. Not just while we're here at FIU, wherever you may go. Some of you may be graduating in December. Me, it's like 2 years away. Please, dear God, hopefully. Right? So I'll be around. Office of Global Learning, if you want to find me, and let's go have coffee and have a conversation. Thank you very much for coming and making your voices heard today. Yay.
Produced by Academic Video Services within the Division of Information Technology at Florida International University.